Gamer Braves!
This is Juan from Gamer Brave. Today, we're going to cut loose and break the system. Well, in the game anyways. We're looking at the brand new Watch Dogs Legion, the third game in the hacking-based series by Ubisoft. Before we start, a big thanks to Ubisoft for getting us early access for this game. Unlike Watch Dogs 1 and 2, Legion doesn't have a fixed protagonist. Instead of playing as one aggrieved person, you're playing, well, a legion of them. You have to run your resistance group, DedSec, and recruit from the most diverse skill pool of all time, Londoners.
Back off!
You can literally recruit anyone in here. And I mean anyone. You see, the game takes place in an alternate future London that's pretty much a cyber dystopia. And while they don't have any 6 cyber ninjas, it doesn't mean there's no shortage of work to do. You'll have to free London's boroughs from the evil Albion. The problem is, they're very well armed, so it's not like you can just blindly charge them. Enter the hacking. As DedSec, you'll need to find key targets, expose them to the public, and ultimately build up public distaste for Albion. One of the greatest strengths this game's got going for it is its absolute lack of story. You can play as any of the NPCs in this game, from any of their backgrounds. The key story beats are just that you work for DedSec, you defeat Albion. It's brilliant. Why, you ask? 'Cause the backstories of these characters are like super mundane. It's kind of amazing. With Watch Dogs 1, Aiden Pierce was kind of a tryhard with his whole "I'm gonna defeat the bad hacker man for my niece" shtick. When you start this game, you can choose your first operative, and their backstories all range from insubordinate soldier to coupon fraud. I love it! Not everyone in the crowd has to be ex-Black Ops. Sometimes people can just be cheaters in MMOs. And this goes on to all the NPCs you can recruit too. Just like the original Watch Dogs, they'll have their own little tidbits of backstory, giving them all a lot of personality. Heck, you could even recruit a Legion of Grandmas and be the first hacker Legion that also gets a discount on bus tickets. Look, if anyone can save London from techno-fascism, it's going to be your Nan. You can even customize your NPCs with all sorts of outfits, and they stay on for the cutscenes. In fact, there's quite a bit of difference when it comes to these cutscenes depending on your NPCs. While nothing ultimately game-changing, it's a nice little side hobby to just reload saves and see different NPCs doing different things in them. Of course, not everyone's open to joining a rebellion on the first ask. Sometimes people are antagonistic towards the idea. Look, I've been to London. If someone asked me to join a rebellion, I'd clutch my wallet and do a 180 so hard you'd swear I was praising me. Unsurprisingly of a Ubisoft game, no doesn't always mean no, and these operatives to be can always be won over. Doing certain side quests will turn the tides, making those red thumbs of rejection into green thumbs of rebellion. You can also do this writ large by clearing out big targets. Shaming local bigwigs is a great way to turn their borough against them, though that does mean you're doing the Ubisoft formula of clearing out area by area until story happens. The vast numbers of different NPCs you can play as is actually really fun. There's no universal problem solver since every NPC has their own quirks and traits. For example, your construction worker is going to have no problem infiltrating a construction site, but won't exactly blend in at the hospital. Instead, you'll need to do exactly what the game wants, grow your legion. Here's a really good thing about this game is that it's kind of embraced the silliness of Watch Dogs a little. By having it take place in the near future, you get to do all sorts of cool stuff like hacking giant drones. I really think Watch Dogs should be commended for this turnaround, since the first Watch Dogs was a total drag with how grown up you wanted to be. If you wanted to tell a story about a minigame, at least let me fly around on a giant drone pretending I was the Green Goblin.
Takes the pictures of Spider-Man!
Pizza time.
Speaking of hacking, thankfully Ubisoft's made sure to make the hacking some of the most fun it's ever been in a video game. They split it into 2 types, quick and advanced hacking. Quick hacking is just that. It's simple things like getting cars out of your way, or distracting some grunts by hacking their phones. The advanced hacking is a little more complex, but with greater rewards. You can do things like jam guns and hijack drones, which can really turn these encounters in your favor. If you don't mind extending the time of your runs greatly, these can be really fun to do, especially as you find out just how much of the digital world is actually hackable. Of course, it wouldn't be a big open world sandbox without actual combat. As a legion of day-to-day Londoners, you're not exactly the most combat trained. When it comes to melee, you have a lot more than bar fighting, and some characters will have weapons like wrenches to beat the snot out of Albion with. Depending on their background, some recruits can even have guns on them. If the Londoners you're role-playing aren't okay with murder, however, you can also invest in special DedSec weapons that fire non-lethal rounds. I mean, I'm glad the option's here, but honestly, they've done a good enough job with setting this game as a big hacker fest that I almost want to try doing runs where I don't have to do any actual fighting myself. Just wait till you find out Albion was overthrown by a Scouser with a fleet of Roombas. Being set in London, it's also remembered to include that Ubisoft brand of cultural attention to detail. You can start kicking around footballs, playing a minigame where you have to juggle a ball for as long as possible. There's also fight clubs, also known as the Bare Knuckle League. These challenges help you get used to the game's melee combat, and are great for when you feel like there's too much hacking and you just want to beat something up. I'll be honest with you, when I originally heard they were making yet another Watch Dogs, I kinda rolled my eyes. The combination of yet another Ubisoft open world with yet another future dystopia is kind of exhausting, but I'm glad we got the chance to give it a go. Watch Dogs Legion gets a high-tech 8.5 out of 10. The franchise is a great example of redesigning to focus on what people like the most about it. The intense double down by not having you play as any one character is great, since there's no way to go, oh, what's the point of this character? I want to go back to my default. That being said, the sheer amount of things you can do can also be overwhelming for some, but that should have been obvious when you saw Ubisoft's name on the tin. Despite that, Watch Dogs Legion has absolutely gone above and beyond in making this more than just another open world sandbox. The game will be available on PC, Google Stadia, PS4, Xbox One, as well as their next-gen counterparts on November 29, 2020. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a vacuum cleaner that needs to work on its trigger discipline. This has been Wam from Gamer Braves. Happy hacking!